The Pool of Siloam that we're excavating as we speak in the city of David today is 100% the same Pool of Siloam from 2,000 years ago, the time of Jesus. The pilgrimage road that archaeologists from the Israel Antiquities Authority are excavating as we speak today, 100% the same pilgrimage road, same Temple Mount, same city of David, not simply a matter of faith, but a matter of fact. It's real.
Historians and archaeological digs have found a road that Jesus has 100% walked on. Let's get into it.
How far out of the city wall is the city of David from? Most people don't ever been there. They don't realize how small all of Israel is, let alone Jerusalem. So can you give us some scale first of what we're talking about?
So Israel itself is about the size of the OK state of New Jersey. It's we have about 10 million people living in Israel. Jerusalem is the largest city. Probably about 1 million people living in Jerusalem. So Jerusalem, by U.S. standards, is probably not the biggest city.
No.
And yet, for billions of people, not millions, when they wake up in the morning, they look to Jerusalem as a source of meaning, faith, hope, identity, inspiration.
I can tell you when my wife, I've said this a million times, and I don't know if people can even begin to understand this. My wife and I went the first time. We went to the Temple Mount, and you could almost feel it.
Yeah.
And then we were all the way up at the border of Syria, past the Sea of Galilee. And I looked at my wife and I said, it's like it's pulsing. I said, can you feel the Temple Mount even here? There's a reason. It honestly is like the pole goes right through the Temple Mount, and the world actually revolves around that.
100%.
It's wild to feel it.
Now, if you ask the average Jewish person, Christian person, close your eyes and imagine biblical Jerusalem. Tell me what you see. And you'll get answers like, I see the Western Wall. I see maybe the Stations of the Cross, maybe the Church of Holy Sepulchre, the Garden Tomb. I see the old city of Jerusalem, and all wonderful, good places. Except none of them, at least when we're talking about the original Hebrew Bible, none of those places are in the Bible. When you think of the places where the kings of the Bible ruled and the prophets of the Bible preached, you're talking about the city of David. The city of David is today located just outside the walls of the old city. Now, most people think the walls of the old city, those iconic walls, they must be thousands of years old. They're only about 500 years old. Now, only...
Wait, the ancient walls around Jerusalem?
That's right.
500
Built
years?
by Suleiman during the Ottoman period. And
no idea.
Right?
Wow.
Now, most people will say 2,000, 3,000 years old. Now, the walls of the Temple Mount, the Western Wall itself, the Southern Wall, the Southern Steps, all that's 2,000 years old, going back to the time of Jesus. But the wall around the old city of Jerusalem is only 500 years old. Now, if you're sitting here in America, you're like, wow, 500 years is a long time ago.
Yeah.
Jerusalem, which is 4,000 years old, 500 years ago is like last week. We don't
right.
get overly excited by anything 500 years old.
Right.
So what happened? We lost Jerusalem. Everyone thought it was the old city until about 150 years ago, 1867, Queen Victoria of England, she wants to discover the treasures of the Bible. Like the Ark of the Covenant, she sends a man by the name of Captain Charles Warren to the Holy Land to find those treasures. He comes to Jerusalem. He wants to excavate the Temple Mount, where the Temple of Solomon stood, the biblical Mount Moriah. Except in 1867, the Ottomans, the Muslims are there. And they say, Charles, we're sure you're a great guy.
No.
But you're not digging up the Temple Mount. To this day,
Right.
due to religious sensitivities, political sensitivities, the Temple Mount has had almost no archaeological activity. So now...
Wait. Let me clarify this. They have, Muslims, if I'm not mistaken, have been digging.
that's not archaeology.
They've been digging it and putting it into dump trucks. And
They've been
dumping it.
destroying.
Right.
But meaning in terms of archaeology, with the goal of uncovering the heritage and history of Jerusalem, uncovering the biblical heritage of Jerusalem, that hasn't taken place.
Right.
The opposite, what the Islamic Waqf, the religious trust on the Temple Mount, what they've done is the opposite of archaeology, with the goal of not uncovering and celebrating the heritage of Jerusalem, but actually destroying it.
And there's
This is what's super sad, because I was in Israel and I was able to go to the city of David and go to the pool of... We were able to walk and see. This is where Jesus was. This is where everyone was writing about, and it just brings everything to life. Like, it's not that far off compared to what you think.
archaeologists that sift through
to this
all
day,
of the stuff.
To this day,
right?
you have archaeologists and volunteers who are able to go and sift through the hundreds and hundreds of truckloads of earth that were removed from the Temple Mount by the Islamic Religious Trust in the late 1990s, dumped in garbage dumps. And when you're sifting through this earth, you will find next to 2,000-year-old coins, potato chip wrappers, Coke cans.
Wow.
Why? Because it's all jumbled together now. They have no.
What did they do? I mean, we have no idea what.
So the pretense was they wanted to build an emergency exit on the Temple Mount. There is a very large subterranean mosque known as the Marwani Mosque beneath the Temple Mount, beneath the area known as Solomon's Stables, one of the most beautiful parts of.
Underneath that,
the southern end of the Temple Mount.
Wow.
They hollowed it out. And they built this subterranean mosque. And then they said, well, now we have this mosque there. We need to build an emergency exit. And they used the legitimacy of building an emergency exit to bring in bulldozers and dump trucks and massive machinery. One of the most famous Israeli archaeologists, he said, if you use a toothbrush on the Temple Mount, that's probably heavy machinery. They used bulldozers and dump trucks. And they took tons and tons and tons of earth and just threw it in the garbage dump. And they say, why? And the answer is very simple. What they are trying to hide is that the Jewish people, and by extension Christians, have been in Jerusalem for thousands of years.
Right.
And so if they can destroy that history, destroy that heritage, well, then they could go along with their claims that Israel's an occupying, colonizing power that has no history and no heritage in the land of Israel or in Jerusalem. They are seeking to rewrite history, to erase the Judeo-Christian heritage from Jerusalem. In fact, the United Nations passed a resolution a couple of years ago saying that the Temple Mount and Western Wall are exclusively Islamic holy places.
What?
And they go on to say and condemn all the archaeological excavations in Jerusalem. Now you might say, how on earth could anyone say such a thing, that Jews and Christians have no heritage in Jerusalem, condemn the archaeology? Why would they say that? But the answer is very simple. If the story that you want to tell about Jerusalem is an exclusively Islamic story, then you will hate a place like the City of David, one of the most archaeologically excavated sites in the world, because every single day we're unearthing antiquities, fancy word for old stuff, that show, not simply as a matter of faith, but as a matter of fact, that Jerusalem's biblical heritage is true, that the connection that Jews and Christians have with Jerusalem, the foundations that the United States of America, that the Judeo-Christian heritage that it's built upon, comes from Jerusalem, that it's real. And that is a nightmare to them.
So last time you were on, I think we talked about the Pool of Bethesda, and this is where Jesus healed the man who had been, waiting for a miracle at the pool.
Was it right? The Pool of Siloam at the southern end of the city.
Yeah, the Pool of Siloam. We actually went there and got to sit down, and it was so beautiful because you walk actually through a tunnel. It's one of the tunnels they use to escape, I believe.
Right? Which up until 2004 was totally covered up. And then in 2004...
Did we even know that that's kind of where it was?
We know for 100% that's where it is today.
No. Then, when we started the archaeological dig, we didn't know.
So they say hindsight is 20/20. And obviously now everyone's like, well, of course we knew that's where it was. But back then, 2004, it's all covered up. There's a road above it. There's a sewage pipe below. And only because of a busted sewage pipe. We have a teaching in our faith that says God has many miracles.
Right.
The reason we found one of the most significant biblical heritage sites in all of Jerusalem, the Pool of Siloam, with deep significance to Christians and Jews alike, was because of a busted sewage pipe. And that, of course, leads then to another discovery. Because the Pool of Siloam was the place where, before going up to the temple on Passover, Pentecost, Tabernacles, the pilgrimage festivals, you had to cleanse yourself. You had to wash, cleanse, bathe. In the Christian scriptures, the story of the healing of the blind man, also Pool of Siloam. And so the archaeologists said, well, if we know where the pool is, at the southern end of the City of David, the place where Jerusalem began, how did the millions of pilgrims get from the pool all the way up to the temple on the Temple Mount? They widen the excavation, and they end up discovering what's known as the Pilgrimage Road, the road that our ancestors, yours and mine, Jews and Christians alike, would have walked on 2,000 years ago when they went on pilgrimage up to the temple on the Temple Mount.
So that road would go right directly from that pool.
That's right.
Right to
the temple. I call it the biblical superhighway.
Wow. And we were able to walk that, and it's seriously super amazing, and it just brings everything to light. Like, what we believe in is not crazy. What we believe in is not something so far off or magical or mythical. It's real. It is real.
Where you wanted to go in Jerusalem 2,000 years ago, that road would take you there. And I've been asked many, many times, what are the chances Jesus walked on that road? And I said,
had to be 100%.
Yeah, so I tell people, I say, look, conservatively speaking, you're talking about 100%. So, well, how do you know? Well, the answer is really very simple. If you believe that there was a historic Jesus 2,000 years ago in Jerusalem, well, he was Jewish. He went with all the Jews down to cleanse at the Pool of Siloam at the southern end of the city of David. He would have then walked up from the pool along the pilgrimage road, along the half-mile journey up to the temple on the Temple Mount. The Pool of Siloam that we're excavating as we speak in the city of David today is 100% the same Pool of Siloam from 2,000 years ago, the time of Jesus. The pilgrimage road that archaeologists from the Israel Antiquities Authority are excavating as we speak today, 100% the same pilgrimage road, same Temple Mount, same city of David, not simply a matter of faith, but a matter of fact. It's real. You could see it. You could touch it. You could walk on it. It is the most significant half mile on the planet. There is no half mile. That means more to more people anywhere in the world than the city of David.
Wow.
So when it comes to the temple, does it come to Solomon's stairs? And it's got to be below. I mean, you excavated. How deep down did you have to dig to find the road?
So the pilgrimage road itself runs up the length of the city of David. It comes out at the southwestern corner of the Temple Mount. So now what happens is it then splits off. When it gets to the southwestern corner, there's one branch that goes off to the east, which comes out by the southern steps. Again, another site with deep significance for Jews and Christians alike. And then the other part, when it gets to the southwest corner, keeps going north along the western wall. And that became the main thoroughfare. In fact, when a person stands at the southwest corner of the Temple Mount, you could see the remnants of a massive staircase that would have taken the pilgrims up into the temple. It's still there. You could see the remnants of that staircase. So this was the main thoroughfare where everyone is gathering. Now, today, the pilgrimage road, or the vast majority of it, is about 60 feet underground. Now, if this was the United States, what would happen? You know, if you go to Gettysburg today, how many people are buried on the battlefield? How many people live today on the battlefield of Gettysburg? Nobody, right? It's one of the most significant American heritage sites. So in Jerusalem, you would say, well, city of David, it's significant not just for millions, but billions of people around the world. What should we do? 2 words, eminent domain. Except in this part of Jerusalem, we don't do that. And so the challenge is, how do you, on the one hand, respect the modern-day city of David and the people who live there today, and at the same time uncover all the heritage with significance to billions of people around the world and give access to all those who want to see it themselves? And the answer is with a lot of sensitivity. That's why the city of David, it's only 11 acres in size. We've only excavated 1/3 of the site to date over the last 150 years.
Wait. So it's mainly with buildings and roads and everything above it?
Above it, right?
Holy cow.
And so you're literally trying to have the best of both worlds. Respect the modern, uncover the ancient. And that's why so much of the work has to be done with the utmost sensitivity and at the highest of standards, because you can't afford any mistakes. You can't.
You're not getting Elon Musk with his boring machine.
No, everything has to be, you're talking about small tools, lots of engineering to support everything that's up above. But I had the privilege of hosting members of the Navy SEALs along the pilgrimage road. And they were based out of Coronado on the West Coast. And they said, well, how does all this get covered up? So I said, well, you know, it's really simple. You know, you have one time period. Someone comes in and conquers it. They build on top of it. Another one conquers them, builds on top of that. Throw some earthquakes in there, and you kind of get all these layers. And I said, well, you know, just to bring it closer to home, I said, well, you guys are out there in California. I said, if you dug down beneath your homes, you'd probably find that once upon a time there were some Native Americans living there. If you kept digging, you might find that once upon a time there were some Republicans living there.
I doubt that. I don't think you'll ever find that evidence. It's Seattle. Seattle has a Seattle Underground.
Right?
Yeah.
So
Where they just built.
But there you have it, guys. Absolutely amazing. God is so good, and he's worthy of praise, and we can just trust in him. So many things are proven in the Bible each and every day, and I am blessed and thankful that God is good. So, guys, I encourage you to go to Jesus, know that he loves you. Subscribe if you haven't. I encourage you to do that. Walk you right through for you to follow Jesus for the first time. If you have never done that, I encourage you to do that. It will be the best decision of your entire life.